We are about to enter the outer limits of the Taidan Empire. As we approach the galactic core, resistance is expected to increase. We have identified a weak point in the enemy defenses. There is a remote research station located near an active supernova. It should only have a minor garrison protecting it.
Hyperspace jump successful. We have cleared the Outer Rim dust bank.
The research station is located here. Assemble a heavy strike force and destroy it.
The supernova is 215 light-years away. It is emitting intense radiation.
Strike craft are especially vulnerable to this radiation. Capital ships will be the most effective due to their heavy armor. Research Division reports it is now equipped for proximity sensor technology. We advise commencing research immediately.
Docking with mothership. Acknowledged. Docking with carrier.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Homeworld Remastered, and unlike the last mission, which was very short, sweet and to my point, this one took quite a long period of time. The reasoning for it is, number one, strike craft are pretty much useless in this mission because of the supernova radiation emissions, so therefore I'm docking them all now and they're just going to stay where they are. Dock them with the carrier, dock them with the mothership. In fact, a fairly interesting thing that happened, I have so many strike craft that the first time I played this mission I tried to dock them all at once and they formed a line so long that it ended up with them being outside of the protective sort of area that we're in, and half my strike craft were destroyed due to being exposed to the radiation, which was a bit daft of me.
The enemy is using mines. Research Division reports it can produce a Corvette-class mine-laying ship. We advise commencing research immediately.
Now, mine layer corvettes are in fact great for certain missions in this game, especially ones where you're going to get overwhelmed potentially, but in this mission they're pretty much useless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my fleet into as tight a formation as I possibly can, and I'm going to basically send them all out in one dirty great big ball, because I think that's pretty much the only way I can do this. Once we get a good look at the map, you'll be able to see that there are dust clouds, as it were, and when you're in those dust clouds you're not exposed to the supernova radiation, so therefore it's definitely worth keeping everything as tight as you possibly can. I mean, it's not ideal, and this mission can take an absolute age because of that, especially if you're doing what I'm doing, which is trying to be very, very slow and steady about it. You could just send your fleet in there and charge in and you would probably be okay. You can see the dust clouds here that I'm trying to stay within. But there are certain things in this mission that I want to get done, and the only way for me to do that is to go ahead with the capture. And as you can see, I've actually got so many assault frigates I can't keep all of the dust clouds.
Radiation is much heavier than we expected. Sensors indicate that these veins of space dust may have shielding properties. We recommend using the veins for protection.
Group 2.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea, and as you can see, we're just about inside them, but here's the first wave that the enemy send against us. It's a huge group of corvettes and strike craft, and I think that the size of this fleet is mainly due to the fact that I have so many assault frigates. But fortunately, I bought my gravity well generators with me that I have built, and they are going to stop these corvettes and fighters dead in their tracks, and then my fleet's just going to rip them to pieces. In fact, there they all go pretty much. That's Gravwell generators are amazing if and when they're used properly. They just allow they basically remove any advantage that strike craft have, and you're just able to mop them up super easily. So this lot is going to go down, and I'm pretty much going to lose nothing. Again, I'm just trying desperately to keep everything together, keep it in the dust cloud. You can actually see, or you will see very soon, you might have caught a glimpse of it, that there was a big resource cache off to the right. To the left. One thing that Homeworld Remastered does is if you have defeated a mission and decide to leave, it will harness everything in the mission for you, and that makes things an awful lot easier. One thing I will say is, if you've got gravity well generators in the game, is make sure you turn them off, otherwise they will just expire and then die, and they are extremely expensive if you're going to do that. So yeah, don't do that, just don't. You can see I'm actually getting all my ships to follow my main capital ship group, and I'm doing that because my capital ship group is slowly but surely moving through the radiation cloud. And here you go, you can actually see off to the left, that's a huge pile of resources right there. But don't worry about it, is what I would say here, because you will get those resources anyway. So there is literally no point in risking your resources to try and get all of those. Here we go, another big strike craft group coming up, but I've still got my Gravwell generators and my fleet up, so this is going to be a pretty big massacre again. Destroyers are also very good at dealing with corvettes. They're extremely good at dealing with those sorts of ships. The only thing I'm going to be slightly worried about is the strike craft, but the gravity well generator is going to bring them to a halt, and then they're just going to be at the mercy of my ships. So I'm not too worried at all about that, and you can actually see all the corvettes etc. trying to break off, so we're just going to put the gravwell on, and that's going to leave them pretty much dead in the water, which is great. It does apply to our ships as well, so our corvettes are going to be extremely slow as well, but it's definitely a price worth paying, because once the enemy ships are just dead in space, they'll get picked off extremely easily. So not too worried about the extra number of ships that have been put against it. In fact, yeah, I think I left my Gravwell generators on permanently there, and because of that they have now died, which is extremely irritating, but fortunately there just aren't enough ships here that are going to cause me too much of a concern, and I'm just going to burn them to the ground now. Multi-beam frigates doing their thing, and also the other ship that's causing an absolute mess here with strikecraft and fighters is my missile destroyer. Missile destroyers absolutely annihilate small craft. You only need one or two at most to take out a huge swarm of enemy fighters, so by all means, build those if you're not already maxed out on destroyers. Unfortunately, I'm already maxed out on destroyers, so we'll just have to deal. So we can see an enemy strike crafted. That is a mine layer corvette. It is laying mines. Now, I'm going to take out the mine layer corvette. To be honest, my destroyer group here can just tank the mines. There's no real problem here. There's not enough of them for me to be bothered about. However, what you can do You can actually instruct, as you can see the game getting a lot of slowdown when I instructed that, but don't worry, it does come back. You can instruct all of your ships to attack everything on the screen, even mines. So you can actually see that my ships are trying to attack a mine, and one mine has just slammed into one of my ships there. But you can see it didn't do too much, and really mines need to be at a critical mass before they're going to do a huge amount of damage to you. And you know, if you do have a large minefield, and you will probably end up, I will at least probably end up using them 1 or 2 times during this game, they will most certainly be useful, but at the moment not too great. Now, here's the point here's the reason I bought salvage corvettes for this mission. There are 2 destroyers there, and there is also a tie-down heavy cruiser. You'll see that I have accidentally selected some of my corvettes there, so I couldn't salvage it. But yes, there is an enemy heavy cruiser there, and heavy cruisers are ridiculously strong. They are the strongest ship in the game, bar none. I think there might be 1 or 2 exceptions, but in terms of just the raw firepower they bring, they are absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, we are going to take that. The other thing I'm going to try and do while I'm here, I am going to try and pick up one of these destroyers, and I think I've managed that as well. So that is a definite win on that side. The way the difficulty works in this game, it won't spawn more. I don't believe it'll spawn more super capital ship classes. It will just spawn more normal capital ship classes, so assault frigates, things like that. But yep, that is a heavy cruiser that is currently in the grips of my salvage corvettes, and over on the other side you will see a very knackered destroyer is also in the grips of my salvage corvettes. So that is a major win on that side, because we couldn't build the destroyer in the first place, so having a second one is absolutely great. And heavy cruisers are just fleet killers. Just on their own, heavy cruisers are complete fleet killers. So the ability, or the fact that we've nicked one here, is just absolutely excellent. Now, I may have made a little bit of a mistake here, because I decide not to send my new heavy cruiser and destroyer into the fight. I probably could have done that, and it would have made things a little bit easier for me. But I've decided that I want to try and preserve my forces as much as possible until later in the game, and I didn't want to take the risk that my heavy cruiser was going to be destroyed in this mission, where, to be honest, I really don't need a heavy cruiser to be defeating this mission. Almost irrelevant of how many assault frigates that the level spawns to try and balance the game. If it does spawn like 500 assault frigates, then what I would probably do, if it spawns that many, I would more than likely turn down the amount of stuff it's spawning, because that's just ridiculous. But I think that, you know, at this point, I think in the original game I would probably just have already won the game, because I've got a maxed out fleet and I'm just adding to it, so I would already be at the point where I've won. I suppose that the spawning has just made the game a little bit more fraught with worry, because you're not quite sure if you're still going to be able to win, because you might just get overwhelmed by assault frigates. Anyway, you can actually see there's a ton of assault frigates down there. Not enough though for the fleet that I'm packing here, because don't forget, every ship that I bought is either super capital or it's a cap ship killer, so it's an ion frigate or something like that. So just sending all my ships in here, and we're going to start this fight.
We must destroy the garrison protecting the station. Enemy units cannot be allowed to escape, or they may alert the Empire to our presence. Radiation is much heavier than we expected. Sensors indicate that these veins of space dust may have shielding properties. We recommend using the veins for protection.
Attack order confirmed. Group 10. Responding.
We are picking up a quantum wave effect. A Titan carrier is loading ships and powering up. It must be destroyed before it can hyperspace.
Group 10 reporting.
Now this is where I make a pretty large tactical blunder, so for those of you who like tactical blunders, here you go. That carrier is covered in strike craft. I could literally, you saw the small assault frigate fleet just over there to the side, I could just send my salvage corvettes, pick up another 5 or 10 assault frigates, and that would probably be fine. Just pick them up, get them back to the mothership and move on the next day. But I decided to try and capture the carrier, which is a big problem because the strike craft are just going to kill all my salvage corvettes, and it's also going to leave those assault frigates on my flank, which is just making things worse. So while I've now got hold of the carrier here, as you can see, I'm thinking, wow, this is really good, this is doing really well. I only need a couple of those to be shot off and we've got a problem on our hands. You can see that my ships are currently melting through the assault frigates there, but now we've got the backup assault frigate fleet. Yep. This is the extra stuff that has spawned into the level, and that is a monster fleet of assault frigates. I think we've got to, and yep, we've also got some strike craft have broken off to go after my salvage corvettes, and the enemy's going to get their carrier back. So this went south very, very quickly. And I'm trying to divert some of my forces over to protect my salvage corvettes, but it's not going to happen. So yeah, this has gone very, very south very quickly. You can see that my fleet are absolutely, you know, they're destroying these assault frigates quite easily, but I'm losing ships now. I'm going to lose one destroyer here. I mean, look at how many assault frigates that is. That is absolutely absurd how many assault frigates are coming in there. And they are still pouring fire into my ships. Fortunately, they are being whittled down bit by bit, but this is what I was saying about how, I mean, I haven't even managed to bring my assault frigates into this fight, which is the worst part of it, but you can actually see how, you know, the fact that I basically played the game quote unquote well is now being punished, because the game has just spawned a million assault frigates to try and achieve some form of balance. And this really, I mean, to me, I was, when this was happening in the game, I was actually very, very close to restarting the level and just turning off this, because I think this is, you know, I don't think that scaling difficulty is a very good idea, but then again, I suppose it does make the LP a little bit more fun to watch, because you're not 100% sure of what's going to happen. So yeah, I think we lost either 2 or 3 destroyers there. I think it might have been 3. Lost 3 destroyers. Yeah, because we've captured 1. Got the missile destroyer, so that's 8, and we're now down to 5. So yeah, we actually lost 3 destroyers in that fight. We are going to replace them, don't worry, but you know, I mean, but the problem is we can't replace them, can we? Because we can only get a maximum of 6. So obviously, you know, we've permanently lost 2 destroyers there, and it was all pretty much due to the fact the game decided that spawning 50 or 60 assault frigates was the best way to balance the game. But never mind, sorry, me just being a little bit salty here. I've obviously lost all my salvage corvettes as well, which is because of trying to take over this carrier. So overall, this battle's been a pretty, I mean, it's not been a net loss, because I'm still going to have a massive fleet at the end of this. You know, it's not been a huge loss overall, but it's really not how I wanted this fight to go, and I'm losing frigates as well, and obviously I can't replace them either. So you know, this has turned into a heck of a mess for me to clean up, but it looks like I've managed to get rid of all of the enemy fleet there. There's only these defenders, for whatever reason. I'm not sure what's happened to the AI or anything like that, but for some reason these defenders don't move. So they're literally just sitting ducks for me here. But I'm still losing frigates here. The drone frigates at the moment are proving to be pretty much useless because they're really terrible against capital ships. So what have I lost in this mission looking at it? I've lost 11 frigates, 3 destroyers, a whole group of salvage corvettes. In fact, all my corvettes I've lost. So yeah, this is a heck of a beating that I've taken in this mission here. I could have mitigated some of it, I'm sure. Certainly if I hadn't tried to capture the carrier, I might have had a better lined up fleet. But the sheer volume of ships that were up against me, I don't think I could have avoided losses. It's just what happens when you come in with a fleet that's absolutely gigantic, and really I think I just have to put up with it if I'm going to end up playing the game. But what I will be doing, the next mission I believe is the next mission's pretty easy, assuming they don't just spawn, assuming it doesn't just spawn too many ships to make it impossible. And it's the next mission after that I'm kind of worried about, because that mission is the game's first real massive open in space furball, whereas this is very much still sort of tactical, because you are you're moving through the gas clouds, etc. So it's not really just taking your fleet and slamming it into something else. You are having to be rather careful with maneuver, whereas I think mission 12 is where it turns into just a massive fight. But we are about to burn the research station to the ground. It's cost us an awful lot, but we have got it, and we can continue on our course towards Higara.
Enemy base and fleet destroyed. Hyperspace drives online.
Berths are clear. Construction underway.
Well, that pretty much sucked, and we're going to have to rebuild our entire fleet at this point, but it's not too bad, I suppose, at this point. Got my destroyer, got my salvage corvette, so let's see what's waiting for us next time, and hopefully I'll never have to see a supernova again. See you next time, guys.